unified multi-axis toolpath in Mastercam 2022 is a revolutionary new option when it comes to multi-axis programming. It offers unprecedented multi-axis flexibility and can replicate the exact functionality of many existing Mastercam multi-axis toolpaths. Let's use Unified to replace some real toolpaths. Operation number 1 is a morph between two curves toolpath. A quick backplot of this operation shows an accelerated finishing tool climb milling from outside to in. Let's open a unified operation. Tool number 1 is the taper form accelerated finishing tool that we will be using. On the Cut Pattern tab, select Curve Input. Note how the cut pattern options react to what selections are present in the list above. Because we are working with curve input, we are no longer allowed to select automatic, surface, or plane inputs. We can't possibly make a combination of inputs that is unsupported. The interface of this new toolpath has gone through hours of real-world usability testing to ensure total clarity and ease of use for new and experienced Mastercam users. Now we can select the starting chain. Shift-click this solid edge to select all tangent edges. Based on this selection, the style drop-down shows options to run parallel, perpendicular, projecting, or guide curve cut patterns with respect to our chain. To add a second input curve, select Curve again and select this solid chain. Now that we have two curves selected, the style drop-down has updated. It will only allow us to select guide curve, morph, and projecting cut patterns. Even details such as the style of cut pattern cannot be selected improperly. Here, we want to select morph. The style drop-down of the other row is updated automatically. Select the face in between these curves as machining geometry. If we click OK and regenerate, we are left with a perfect initial cut pattern for a morph toolpath. With some minor tweaks of toolpath parameters, we have a morph operation that's nearly identical to the original. The next toolpath in our list is another accelerated finishing operation set parallel to a surface. Backplot shows top-down climb cutting motion. Open a new unified toolpath. On the cut pattern page, select Surface. Select this surface as the cut pattern input. And select these faces as drive surfaces. In the Style drop-down, we see 4 options, including 2 options that can be used to replace multi-axis flow toolpaths. Here, let's choose Parallel and click OK to regenerate. We're given a cut pattern consisting of passes that are parallel to the target surface. Again, with some parameter adjustments, we can make this operation match the original. The third operation in our list is the final accelerated finishing operation. This time, our cut pattern is set parallel to a plane. Again, backplot shows top-down climb cutting motion. Open a new unified toolpath. On the cut pattern page, select Plane. If we click the Select button here, Mastercam will present us with our files list of planes to choose from. We can also open the Style drop-down to select a plane relative to WCS, T or C plane, solid faces, or we can input a custom angle. Here, let's choose WCS-Z. Select these faces as machining geometry and click OK to regenerate. We see a perfect starting point for our toolpath. Once the parameters are set correctly, this toolpath is a perfect replacement for the original. Our next task is to trace the Mastercam 2022 logo on the large front face of this part. Traditionally, we do this with a Project Curve toolpath. Let's replicate this motion with a unified toolpath. This time, choose tool number 13. On the cut pattern page, select Curve. Now we can select some wireframe geometry. Toggle selection mode to window selection mode. Window select the logo and click anywhere to determine a start point. On the Style drop-down, choose Project. Select the main front face as machining geometry. Because this logo is floating in space, we need to increase the maximum project distance to 500 thousandths. Click OK to regenerate. If we hide level 10, we see the starting point of our Project Curves toolpath. With some minor adjustments, we land on the finished product. Next, let's work on the aerospace tube. Display level 2 and hide level 1. The first toolpath we're going to replicate is a two-part cuts-along curve operation to finish the interior walls of the tube. In backplot, we can see that these operations start out as 3-axis operations, and eventually some tool tilt is added in as required. To simplify this operation, display only level 4. For the first side of the toolpath, open a unified toolpath and select Tool 6. On the cut pattern page, again choose Curve. Select the green chain from outside to in. In the Style drop-down, we need to choose Perpendicular. This is a slight vocabulary change, providing more consistency and approachability compared to cuts along curve. Select all 3 faces as machining geometry. For now, turn off collision control so the toolpath will generate. In backplot, we see a perfect cut pattern that can become a finished toolpath with just a couple adjustments. We can now make a copy of the first toolpath and modify it to run on the second side. On the cut pattern page, clear the green curve from the selection by using the Clear Selection button. Now select the red curve from outside to in. With a couple of tweaks to the parameters, we have a finished toolpath from the other side of the part. The final operation in this file is a parallel toolpath with a curve input. Display only level 2 and backplot this operation to see the motion. Open a unified toolpath and choose Tool 13. On the Cut Pattern tab, choose Curve. Shift-click the lower edge of this fillet. Set the toolpath style to parallel and select these 3 faces as machining geometry. Regenerate the toolpath to see the final cut pattern. Here, we see the operation with its final parameters. Just because Unified can completely replicate the functionality of these other toolpaths does not mean you're required to use it. If you're more comfortable with the existing multi-axis options, they are still in the software. But as you'll see in this next video, the amazing flexibility of the unified multi-axis toolpath in Mastercam 2022 makes it the absolute best choice for all things multi-axis.